Hi, this is the 5th Sundown devlog. I know it's been a while, but I am continuing to work on this project and I will continue to make these devlogs. Before I get into all the cool new stuff, I want to say that I'm going to be making one devlog video a month from now on. You don't have to watch them, I get these aren't the most entertaining, but I want to document my progress, and they will be there, and I'm going to try and talk about what I'm learning too, so hopefully I can teach someone something, or they can correct me on something I learned incorrectly. Now today we got some interesting stuff to talk about. I'm going to start by going over what I've been doing in Unreal Engine, including starting to code an inventory and crafting system, what I'm going to be working on next, a look at a new model and some other neat Blender stuff, and I'll end with some changes to the design of the game. So let's get into it. Okay, so like I said in the beginning of the video, I have continued to work in Unreal Engine. Here you can see that I've organized my files. I don't know if I showed them in the last video, I will put a screenshot here, but they were really unorganized before, and now it's at least a little bit organized, and I know how this all works, because there's a lot of things, not a lot, but there's some interesting things when moving files I didn't know about Unreal Engine, so I learned some cool stuff, but that's just a small thing. The next thing I want to mention is, in the last video I showed off this little piece of code, this little thing, I called it the cable chute, that like descended onto the ground, and that was neat. It was like a little thing I coded on my own, so that was cool. But I've added to it a lot. Again, it's just a small thing. I might have to redo all the code, but I'm just practicing. Now I'm calling it a cable deployer because that makes a bit more sense. But now, if I click, I don't even know which button, I think maybe C? Yeah, C. This line trace, well, it's hard to see because of the light, but you descend right onto the ground, and it comes with you. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, just a small thing, but I'm just learning how to code in Unreal Engine, so it's pretty neat that I was able to make that. Oh, it glitches out if you're on the edge, because it's line tracing onto the floor instead of onto the ground. But there you go. So yeah, it's pretty neat, and it gets dark because I just have like a trigger zone or something, making the sky get dark if you go under the cloud layer. And by cloud layer, I mean just this cube, because right now there's not actual clouds. But yeah, so that's a small thing. Now, I have continued to work on the inventory system. Still watching a tutorial because I'm very new to all this stuff, but I have been expanding beyond the tutorial and modifying it in some neat ways. So, let's see. One thing is that now, let me grab some of these straw pods. These will not look like this. This is just the placeholder model. Now, they only store one per slot, which works much better for a survival game like this, because I don't want you to have infinite inventory space. And I removed the little indicator that says the quantity. The code can still handle quantities of items other than one. I might get rid of that at some point to optimize it, but for now that's there. Now the next thing is that I've made a kind of like a hotbar. So, well, here you can see it down here, and I can put any item here and it will basically like mimic it, as in what we're seeing here is this item that's in this slot onto the hotbar, so it's not like duplicating it. That's how it works in like Subnautica and other survival games. But the cool part is that I was able to make a system on my own where only some items can go in the hotbar, because I only want tools and deployables to be able to go in the hotbar. By that I mean things like flashlights, scanners, flares, that type of thing. Other things, there's no reason for them to be able to go in the hotbar. But I also made a system where you can switch between the active hotbar slot. Okay. Ignore the text. That was text. Ignore that. But that was just being able to detect when I go onto this specific slot, it's able to send a signal saying, hey, that slot's now active. And what it does when it sends that signal is print that text. So ignore that. But yeah, so that's pretty neat. And so if I were to grab another item, and again, all placeholder, and even... Oh, this one doesn't have a placeholder icon. Okay, well, if I were to grab it and bring it over to my hotbar, it cannot go in there. But any of these straw pods can. So that's pretty neat. It just stores a bit more data, and yeah, pretty nice. And then the next thing, which is a bit more interesting, is that I've started to make a crafting system. Again, with the help of a different tutorial, made by the same person. I will link them in the description because they make some incredible Unreal Engine tutorials. Their name's Ryan Laley. They're very cool. But they made a tutorial on like an RPG system. I think it was that. Or no, it was a survival game, I think. And part of that was a build menu. And I'm using their tutorial on the build menu to make a crafting system. Later on, I can use similar code to make the build menu, but for now, crafting is much more useful. But you can see right here, I can craft a flashlight. The flashlight doesn't work yet, but if I click this, I get one. The thing is, it doesn't get rid of the recipes and it doesn't display the recipe. I'll get to that soon, but clicking it gives you one. So that's pretty neat. And you'll see, if I were to get out of this inventory and drop all these straw pods on the floor, and go back, it won't display that, because it needs 3 straw pods for it to display. There you go. And if I get rid of this, go back in there, it won't work. It doesn't refresh if you drop something while in the menu, but yeah. So that's pretty neat. So that's everything in Unreal Engine. But I do have a lot more that I'm going to be working on now. So obviously I have to finish up the crafting system, make it so items get displayed, items get taken away from your inventory, all of that. I'll also be working on making tools. I'll be modeling tools and other items, as well as starting to add functionality. I mainly just want to add functionality to the flashlight to start off with. The scanner can wait, but I'd really like to make the flashlight work. Alright, so I just have one new model to show off. This is the flashlight. Don't have anything else because I've been working on an animation in Blender to practice. I'll put a little clip of it right here. It's going really well. I'm having a lot of fun. But yeah, here's the new model. Pretty simple, but I did learn some cool stuff, like how to make these perfect, like, hard lines. And yeah, these 2 buttons are how you operate it. The yellow one is how you turn it off and on, and the purple one will either be the stun burst or UV mode, depending on which mod you have installed for it. And the idea behind the top part is that it's used to guard the light from shining into your eyes, because you'd be using it like this. Well, you get the idea. You'd be using it this way, so the light would shine down and forward, but not to you, not onto your eyes. But since you're wearing the sunsuit, you can lower this guard by installing mods, and that will increase its radius. So that's the lore reason for how you can upgrade the radius. But yeah, little simple thing. But I have one more thing to mention, which is that I was able to get a retopology add-on installed. It's called Retopoflow. It's right here. It's incredible. Definitely go install it if you can, if you use Blender for retopology in any way. The people who made it are awesome. They have a YouTube channel called Sichu Cookie, which has some great tutorials. Yeah, it's really cool. But this will be such a time saver. Before I wasn't able to install it because my version of Blender was old. I didn't realize. But yeah, it's really cool. Like, let me just show you how easy it is to create loops on something. Watch this. It is just incredible. So making things like limbs will be so much easier. There's no easy way to do this in Blender without using this add-on. It's truly incredible. So that's definitely going to help me out when I have to go back to making creatures. So really, really cool. That's just a small thing, but I want you guys to know about it, and definitely go check it out. Alright, so there's 2 things I forgot to mention before we get into the design changes for the game. The first is that my friend FamFits designed some concept art for the game. Here's their design for the sunsuit, and I think it looks incredible. I mean, almost every part of it I love, and I'm gonna keep. There's some things I want to change, like maybe add some details to the boots, change the utility belt, maybe some of the chest. But that detail on the top of the chest with the white and the yellow, like, glowing bits on the sides in the sun, I love that part. And the yellow helmet, it looks incredible to me. So I really like this design, and I'll probably be using almost all of this when I actually model it. The second is that the person who offered to help me with the music for the game has started making it, and it is just incredible. They allowed me to say their name. Their name is Emre. They are so good at making music, and I'm going to play what they've made so far. It's just incredible. Thank you so much. Now lastly, let's talk about some changes to the design of the game. This is the Trello. I have it linked in the description. I've talked about this before. So the first thing I want to talk about is I changed some of the names of electronics, because before they were very, very stupid, and now they're a little bit less stupid. Right here, I just changed these two names, the diathermic metastasizer, I changed to transistor, and chronoton pulsar. It's embarrassing even saying them. I changed to just a microchip. The others are still obviously very, very goofy, but at least they're a little bit believable. Like I mentioned earlier, I changed the name of the cable chute to cable to player, but I also gave it a little description. This is just explaining why it is the way it is. Little thing, simple. But I also made some changes to the building system to encourage decorations. So by this I mean, here, I'll go to the description right here. You can read this while I talk. If you can do that. I don't know if you can listen and read at the same time. But anyways, so if you think about it, people mainly decorate in enclosed spaces, in video games and in real life. Like if you look at a pirate ship, the top of the pirate ship does not have many decorations. Most of the stuff on top of a pirate ship is there for utility. On the bottom area, like the lower deck, that's when the cool stuff is at. That's where it is. So I thought there needed to be a way to encourage enclosed spaces, because the idea is that for most of your base, it should be open air, because you're in the sky. You don't need to make enclosed spaces like in a game like Subnautica. So I was trying to figure out how I could encourage enclosed spaces. So I thought of two ways. The first one is here, which is that, sorry for all the little red lines, when charging your sunsuit and in hot or cold air parts, I meant climates, sorry, climates of your skybase, climates of your skybase, you'll slowly be damaged if you're not in an enclosed part of your base. So this means, and by hot and cold climates, I just mean areas that aren't in like the starting biome. So basically when you extend further out, you're going to have to create enclosed spaces if you want to charge your sunsuit while doing other activities. So it's a way of increasing efficiency. So that's one of the ways, and then the other way is with the pen platform. Before, you could just place a pen and put creatures in it, at least conceptually, and they'd be fine. But that doesn't make a lot of sense, seeing as they're from a very low light environment. So it makes a lot of sense that you have to build an enclosed area around pens if you want most creatures to survive. There might be some creatures that are near like lava or some other source that gives off light where they don't need a low light, but for the others you're going to need that. And so this will encourage the player to make enclosed spaces and thus decorate them. So that's just a small thing, but I'm adding decorations to the game, at least theoretically, and I want people to use them, and I think this is a way of allowing players to use them without forcing it upon them. And lastly, I created the ending for the game. I think it's really nice. It ties a lot of things together. It's pretty cool. So definitely check that out if you want. I didn't want to put that in this video in case I ever actually make this game and finish it. I don't want to spoil anything in this video, but if you want to go check it out, it's in this little card right here. Alright, so there's the video. This is a small one, but these should get bigger as I get more familiar with Unreal Engine 5 and Blender. Though remember that I am working on the animation in Blender at the moment, so next vid won't be crazy either. Regardless, I'm determined to at least keep trying to make this thing. I hope some of you can learn some stuff with me along the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.